What's up, Algebra 1 students? Mr. Ford here with a homework tutorial. This is 4.1.1 Part 2, problems 414 through 419. Let's go ahead and just get into it. 414, solve this problem by writing and solving an equation. Be sure to define your variable. We've got a rectangle with perimeter 30 inches. So let's go ahead and start there. Go ahead and draw a little rectangle over here. That'll help out a little bit. We're going to make a note that the perimeter is equal to 30 inches over there. Its length is 1 less than 3 times its width. So let's go ahead and over here, we're going to say L is going to be the length. Let me try writing that word correctly. L-E-N-G-T-H. And we'll say in inches. And W is going to be the width in inches. Now this problem does require that you know what the perimeter of a rectangle is, which is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. If you put the length and the length and the width on here, that's how you build a rectangle. So you need to know that fact first of all. Now we also have this sentence here where its length is 1 less than 3 times its width. Starting with its length is, I'm going to write the equation L equals. And then let's start with 1 less than 3 times its width. So 3 width minus 1. And this is the key to the equation, so what makes this one kind of tough. You need to have that information there. So now if you plug that information in right into here, you can actually solve the problem because we know that the perimeter is equal to 30. We also know that the length is actually 3 times the width minus 1. And we know that the 2W is still 2W. So we did 2 substitutions there. We started with the length being 3 times the width. And we knew the perimeter was 30, so we replaced P with 30 right there. Now this equation is not super tough to solve, but it still has its problems. Still got to do the distribution and get 6W minus 2 plus 2W. Now you have to do 30 equals 8W minus 2. And if you add the 2 over, now you get 32 equals 8W. And you can divide by 8 on both sides and figure out the W has to be 4. And that's the answer to the question. Well, it's one part of the answer. We're looking for the length and to the width here. So let's go ahead and now we know the width is this. We know that the length over here is equal to 3 times the width minus 1. 3 times 4 minus 1, which is 12 minus 1, and that's why the length is equal to 11. These are some of the toughest problems that we have to do in Algebra 1, and so give yourself some credit if you struggle with that one a little bit. 415, the following basketball coach at Washington High School normally starts the game with 5 players. However, due to illness, she needs to substitute Barbara for Allison. So let's go ahead and cross off Allison and write Barbara. And Lakeisha for Melinda. So we're going to cross off Melinda and write Lakeisha, and I'm going to spell it correctly here too. At this week's game, what will be the starting roster for the upcoming game? And you've got it right there. Boom, 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 boom. This question is all about substitution. We're replacing one number with one name with another name, which is the thing we do all the time in this. So the answer right there is those 5 names. If you're watching this video, I would love for you to write that list right there. So to show me that you actually did it and didn't just watch this video and write down everything I wrote. So if I see that, I'll give you no credit for this assignment. But make sure you write the actual names down. 416, when Miss Shreve solved an equation in class, she checked her solution and did not make the equation true. Examine her work below and find her mistake, and then find the correct solution. Right away, if we look at step 1, we got to distribute 5 times 2x and 5 times 5. We get the 10x, we get the negative 5, so that's good. So far, so good. Next, we have, in the next step, we got to do 10x minus 3x, and that would be 7x, so that's fine. 7x minus 5 equals 5x plus 1. I believe this is the mistake right here. So if I were to subtract 5x from both sides, over here, this would give us 2x minus 5 equals 9. I think she made a little bit of an error confusing the x terms and the number terms, because if you add the 5 to both sides, you get 14. 2x equals 14. So I think she went ahead and just did 7x plus 5x and got 12x, and then did 9 minus 5 and got 4. I think that's where the error happened right there. So this is where the mistake is. And the actual, we're finding the correct solution because that's part of the problem. Then find the correct solution. So the correct solution is x equals 7. And that will actually make the equation true. Let's see, 417, determine if the statement below is always, sometimes, or never true. Justify your conclusion. Let's go ahead and start trying to solve it. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 5 is 10. So 6 plus 10x equals 6 plus 5x. Okay. If we were to try solving this right now, we kind of just take a look at it right now. The question is always, sometimes, or never. If it was always true, we'd get the same thing on both sides. And I don't think we have that here. We have 6 plus 10x and 6 plus 5x. Now, if it's never true, we would get no solution for the answer. So let's keep going and see if we get that. If we subtract 5x from both sides, we get 6 plus 5x equals 6. Now we subtract 6 from both sides, we get 5x equals 0. Now this is a common place where students will say no solution, but there actually is a solution. If you divide by 5 on both sides, you get x equals 0. X equals 0 does make this equation true. I mean, if you were to plug it in, you get a 0 here and a 0 here, and you would get 6 equals 6, which is true. So there is one solution, and it is x equals 0, and that means that the answer is sometimes true. Sometimes basically means one solution. On the next page, 418, find an equation for the line passing through the points negative 3, 1 and 9, 7. We had a question just like this on the Chapter 3 test, and here it is again to play with us. Let's start by finding the slope. Step 1. Again, you can label these points any way you want. I'm going to go with 7 minus 1 and 9 minus negative 3. I'm subtracting the y's first, and then subtracting the x's on the bottom, making sure to remember that it is change in y over change in x. This is 6 over 12, in other words, 1/2. That's the slope. Now that I know the slope, I got to figure out what the b is. Now, I like to do this by taking y equals mx plus b, which is what the equation eventually will be. I'm going to plug in 1/2 for the slope. I'm going to really quickly confirm that is the slope before I move on to this problem. I believe that it is. Yes. I'm going to plug 1/2 in for the slope. And you can choose whichever points you want for x and y. I'm going to choose the 9 and the 7 because they're positive numbers, and I like working with them a little better than negative numbers. So 7 equals 1/2 times 9 plus b, which is not going to be a nice number. This might be actually a good place to use decimals in this problem. 7 equals 1/2 times 9 is 4.5 plus b. And if we subtract 4.5 from both sides, we're going to get 2.5 equals b. That tells me that the y-intercept is b, or sorry, is 2.5. You could write 5 over 2 for this. That would work too. Yeah, or 2 and 1/2. These are other answers you could write down for that. If you don't like using this method, you could always use b equals y minus mx, which is the exact same thing because we had to do that process anyway right there when we did y minus mx. So it happens anyway. You get the same thing. So now we can actually write the equation. It's y equals 1/2 x plus 5/2. I like using the fraction answers when I get the final answer there. You could just say 0.5x plus 2.5 if you want also. Time-wise, we're at 8 minutes, so let's go ahead and multiply the polynomials and be done with this homework answer guide. You can multiply this using a generic rectangle, and I highly recommend you do this if you are still working on this. Keep using the generic rectangle as long as you need to. You'll have a 6x squared, you'll have a negative 4x, you'll have a 3x, and you'll have a negative 2. And this gives you 6x squared minus x minus 2, and that is the answer to that question. Over in the next problem, you're going to have to use a 2 by 3. I recommend the rectangle for this one because there's a lot going on. You got your 2x and you got your 1 on one side. You have 3x squared minus 2x minus 5 over here. Again, you got to make sure you get all the combinations. You have 6x to the third, 3x to the second, negative 2x, negative 4x squared, negative 5, and negative 10x. Got a lot of like terms here. I see some x squareds going on. I see some regular x's going on. So when we put it all together, we're going to have 6x to the third out in front minus 1x squared minus 12x. Those two work together minus 5. And I believe that's the final answer there. If all you wrote down just now was that answer, then you're missing the point of this and you're not going to get any better at it. So keep at it, work at it. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. Keep growing a little bit every day. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You are great. So keep it up. I'll see you in the next video.